Hello, if you've watched this channel for a long time, you'll probably recognise these two cars. They don't feature very often, but they're hugely important. They're not really channel cars, so that you don't see many videos. In fact, there's been 2 and 1. Yeah, I think so. But they're important cars to us. I've had this BX16 valve, this 1990 BX16 valve for 20 years. And my wife has had this 1999 Citroen Saxo VTR with a VTS engine for 20 years. We've had them both for 20 years. It's the end of the day, working day. I'm still in my scruffs, before anyone moans. And I have an issue, which I need to look at. Because these two cars haven't really gone anywhere together. I mean, they have gone everywhere, places together. That would be an outright lie. But they haven't really done anything recently. They haven't gone anywhere of note. They haven't gone to like car shows or anything like that. And so for the first time in, well, no, it's the first time they've gone to a car show together, full stop. A couple of weeks ago, we drove both these cars up north.
I chose the north.
One of these cars did it fine. One of them played up. When I say played up, this is what happened. Suboptimal, as I'm sure you'll appreciate. Now, the bigger problem with this is that I don't actually know what it's doing. I don't know why it's doing that. So to give you a quick recap of what happened, we were driving along on our way up to Alton Park, which was, it still is, in Cheshire. I'd never been there before. This was a bucket list place. I wanted to tick it off. It looks like one of those tracks it's probably not amazing for racing a lot of the time. I think it's quite narrow and it's quite difficult. So as far as racing for spectators goes, it's probably can be good, but like not always. For driving, it looks like it's probably one of the best. It just looks massive fun. In fact, we did do a lap at the end of the day, 2 parade laps in fact. I'll talk about that one another time. But yeah, it gets got to go around it, even down to the bottom hairpin. It's a good place. It's a cool place. Lovely place. That and Brands Hatch, very similar sort of vibes about the two, you know, that kind of like out in the woods, hills and undulations and cars out into the, yeah, it's just, but that's not what we're here for. The problem we had is that we were driving up there. We left here on a Friday night because it's such a long way away and we're such a long way from it. We decided we'd leave Friday night. The event was on a Saturday, so we'll leave on the Friday night. We'll drive up A34, M42, M40, M6 toll, and then some other stuff. I don't remember because we never did it. We thought we'd drive up and stay overnight nearby. It was Nantwich, I think, and we headed off. We went up the A34, fine, in convoy, these two for the first time in a very long time, up the A34, along the M42 or M40 or whichever way around it goes, onto the M6 and then onto the M6 toll road. And that is where it just started to go wrong, because as we were approaching the M6 toll road, the speed limit, which had been 50 forever, because there had been roadworks that had been going on forever, seemingly, the speed limit lifted. And of course, being the M6 toll road, everyone's foot went down, off they went, except one guy who was driving along at 50 miles an hour without a care in the world, in the middle lane. My wife went out to overtake him, he moved in. So she accelerated. She accelerated past the guy. I pulled out to overtake the guy, to accelerate past the guy. And as I started accelerating, this thing kicked out a cloud out the back. I've never seen anything like it. It was dramatic. Dramatic undersells it. I kid thee not. The videos you can see, the pictures you can see, everything like that on the hard shoulder, that's the aftermath. What came out the back of this thing? Well, I thought I was going to get showered in bits of piston. Genuinely, I thought I was going to get showered in bits of big end. because it was that kind of thing, and the power died for her suddenly. So the power died. She looked in the mirror. She couldn't see anything. She just saw white because of the smoke. It's just thick, acrid white smoke everywhere. So she thought, oh, it's dead. It's gone. We were mid-overtake, so we had to abort the overtake, cut back in, cut back across, get onto the hard shoulder. Got onto the hard shoulder. Luckily, there was a hard shoulder. There are some stupid motorways about, but that's not... that bit of it wasn't one of them so far. And, yeah, tried to figure out what was going on, to be honest. And I still don't know what was going on. In fact... runs fine. No smoke. What's happening? What's going on? Well, there was no metal coming out the back of the car. There was no shrapnel that I had to dodge. The front of my car still has the same number of stone chips it had naturally. It hasn't had any extra bits done by metal. I don't know. I don't know what went wrong. Pulled over on the side of the road, started, the engine's running, smoke pouring out the back of it. Managed to keep it going. It cut out a few times, started it again, kept cutting out, starting it, cutting out, starting it. And then at one point it seized up. It was click, click, click. Wouldn't turn. Managed to get it going again. Drove it a little bit further along. I thought, well, look, I want to get off the motorway. I don't want to be on the motorway. I've had enough. So we thought, if it goes, I'll take it along the hard shoulder at 20 mile an hour or something with the hazards on, just to get it to the next junction and just get it off. Because at the end of the day, I don't care. I don't even know what the rules are. If it moves, I'm moving it. I'm not going to sit on the hard shoulder. It's an accident waiting to happen. Literally an accident waiting to happen. As it happened, it was one of those emergency refuge places a little bit further down. So we pulled over. So now you're like 2 lanes away from the people asleep in the lane 1. So it was okay. We got into there. I could have a slightly better look at it. Checked a few things. Took the oil cap off. You know, trying to figure out what was going on. Coolant, everything like that. Temperatures are all good. It was running. Still smoking its nuts off. Gave it a couple of bootfuls and it seemed to sort of reduce slightly, but not much. And in the end made the decision, well, look, the next junction was, I don't know what number it was, but it was 2 miles away or something like that. 2.5 miles away. So I said, right, I'll drive it. You drive the BX, I'll drive this. We'll swap round, because she was too busy having a panic attack to drive this. So we'll swap round. I'll drive this, you drive that. And then we'll come off. If we try and get to this junction, we'll get off and then we'll reassess what we're going to do. In my head, I'm like, we are still going to Alton Park. Even if we abandon this somewhere and then pick it up on the way back. Or we get a breakdown truck to come and take it home, we can still go in this. We have 2 cars. But it's ruining the day quite a lot. She's very attached to this car, very upset at this point. We came off. We had to pay to use the toll road. So we came off. Full price. It's like £8 something. Times 2. To do like 2 miles or something like that. Anyway, yeah, if that was in France, it would be like, if you'd only gone on for 1 junction, you only pay like €1 or something like that. Depends how long you've been on it. Because that seems fairer, but... So we took it off, got through the toll, got out the other side, and by that point it had stopped smoking. What the hell, man? Something that can smoke so badly that makes you think it's blown up and cuts the engine out, and then at some point seizes it, disappears, and then the car runs again. So we drove on. We decided not to go on the motorway from that point on. I thought, if we're going to break down, let's break down on an A road. Did some Googling. 20 minutes difference from where we were to get to Nantwich on the motorway or on the A roads. I think it was the A38, I think. So we carried on cross country. Took a while to do, but it seemed to go on forever. But of course, that's just because you're on edge, expecting something to go wrong. She's following this, expecting it to go wrong, and it didn't. It got all the way there. There was one point near where we got to where we were staying, near the hotel, where I said to her, when we get near the hotel on the sat-nav, I'm going to leather it. Just as we're there, just to test the theory, because like while it's hot and everything like that, and see what it's like. And it was fine. It kicked a little bit of crud out the back, but for the most part, it was fine. And then we got to the hotel, parked it up, went and got some food in this, came back, went to bed, came down in the morning thinking like, right, let's go for it. Let's checked all the levels and everything. Everything's fine. Oil level's fine, coolant level's fine, nothing's mixed. It seems happy. Right, fine, let's just try again. So she drove this to Alton Park, fine. No problems at all. The only thing we noticed was a couple of drips of oil under the bonnet at the front. And that was the only thing we noticed. So we drove this to Alton Park, and luckily we had a nice day at Alton Park. It didn't ruin the time. It was Autos de France. It was a French car meet at Alton Park, and they had like a day of racing put on to go with it. It was good. It was enjoyable, really good. Yeah, but no clues as to what was wrong with this. Took the airbox off. Now this car had an aftermarket, shall we say, kind of a little bit from Wish, induction kit. So it's on there because it makes noises, because standard these engines, even the 16 valve, don't actually sound that great. It's nice to just give it a little bit, just to make it more enjoyable really, only when you put your foot down, and only really for those in the cabin. I don't think it sounds much different on the outside, but notice that this induction kit that it has was full of oil. Right, so I've pulled the car out of where it was hiding so we can get a better look at this, because there's some things I want to check. This is the box, the air box that was on it. It took me a while to find it because we've been, well, this place got ripped apart the other day when I was doing a 24-hour live stream, which you can still donate to, for, oh my God, for a very worthwhile cause. I shall put a link in the description. Can you tell we hastily bundled this together? This is the sort of air box. It's one of these Mickey Mouse type, come on, a bit like this channel, Mickey Mouse air intakes. So it would just, so the front panel goes there, pipe comes off the back there, and the air filter sat inside. I'm leaving it in the bag because it is full of oil still. So this was filling with oil. Now this car doesn't have a catch can because it's standard largely. But what it did have, as I say, was a sort of homemade induction kit. And I thought, while we were up at Alton Park, that I'd sussed the issue. I thought I'd made a boo-boo, because that's the little filter that goes inside that thing there. And I know it doesn't look much, but this car has made decent power on in fact, this car is, I don't even know if this is being shot. It's there. It's in second place on the board, on the dyno board. Yeah, so this is, so originally this went here, and then this pipe's original and everything. Now what there was the cowling, there was a little sort of aluminium or stainless piece of pipe, then there was some joiners and whatnot. It was a little bit more elaborate than that. It's simplified now. And one of the things I thought was happening at the time was I actually had two spigots. I had this spigot here, and I had another one in the metal, and I thought one of them was blanked off, and I thought, oh no, I've left it down the bottom, it's at 6 o'clock, it's right at the bottom. Is that filling up with oil from the vapours, from the breathers, things like that? And then when it overflows, it gets sucked in. So I thought, that's a silly idea, so I binned that off. I got rid of that. And we ran back like this with a simplified setup. So it is basically just, well, it is air intake into the throttle body there, there's your filter, a single vacuum drawer there for the breather off the top of this rocker cover, and that's about it. That's all there is. But that air filter is full of oil again. We knew it hadn't fixed the problem because the problem resurfaced near Winchester. So we were most of the way back. It did get us there, it did do the event, and it did get us back. So on one hand, fair play to the Saxo. And it's kind of upsetting because this car has been used as a kind of, okay, not doing high mileage, but it has been used fairly frequently in all weathers for years now. It has been a pretty trusty daily. The only thing this thing ever really struggles with is suspension. It always develops suspension clonks and knocks and rattles. Doesn't matter what genuine parts you put in it, it's just a nightmare for that kind of thing. But the engine has always been good as gold, apart from, like, I think the coil pack went last year. ECU played up. It's had a different ECU put in it. There was something wrong with that. But hardware wise, it's been really good. This is kind of the first time it's actually given any real trouble, which is annoying. And I think it's been doing this a while, because there was a video under this car, the modifications of this car. I did a video on it, and underneath the car it was all full of oil. And I thought there were two things causing an oil leak. Something happening down there and this. I thought the oil filler cap was leaking. And it is leaking. But not that badly. And of course what it was coming from the air filter. I just hadn't noticed. The power steering pump's absolutely covered. And it's still filling up the air filter. So what is actually happening now is, for some reason, this is leaking engine oil out. This is downhill. So any liquid that does appear in here will flow downhill. Well, that's why it's leaking out of here. The only place it can enter now is through this breather here, or back through there. That's it. So you think, okay, is it breathing heavy? Is there something? Is the piston rings at it? Is it over pressurising the crankcase or something and filling this up with oil? Let's have a look. Because this is where things start to get confusing. So if I remove the oil filler cap now, we've got a fair bit of pressure there, but you can see the camshaft. It's right there, the exhaust cam. So is that windage, perhaps? Or is that not normal? You think, okay, fine. In fact, is that sucking that back in? That's vacuum. Wow, okay, so this is why I should do videos. I hadn't noticed this. So you can feel pressure there. But of course, there's also a vacuum on it because it's connected to this. So that must be windage off the camshafts. Or camshaft, because there's individual rocker covers. Windage, but with vacuum. Yeah, there is, it's vacuum. Okay. Just wondering if that's supposed to breathe and it's not, but so put that back on. Pull the dipstick out. Yeah, there's a bit of vacuum there. Again, that's fine. They're supposed to be. But how much? Can you hear that? What is that? Gurgling. Sounds a little bit like crankshaft slapping the oil. I'll double check the level again in a minute, but I'm pretty sure it's not over full. So this is the vacuum feed here. Well, I say this is, there's also one there. Yeah, there is a vacuum pulling on that. If I take that off, does the noise go away? We've removed the vacuum on this one. Hang on. Noise has actually gone there. Right, so there's gurgling noises when that's connected to that. I mean, there is a breather here. There's a balancer that goes from that's from the crankcase there up to the back head there, and so that's pulling that through there out of the crankcase, which it's supposed to do. It is supposed to pull a vacuum. If I took the dipstick out and there was excess pressure here, that's when you start worrying. You think, oh God, what's going on there? Now, I don't think this has got a PCV valve. I will have to double check, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't. Unless there's something built into it here. There's this pipe here, which is pretty rigid, to be honest. In fact, you have a job getting that off with this still in place. What is going on? So there is oil in there, but I don't know. It's sucking it in through here. I'm going to double check that oil level. Right, so that's been switched off for a little while. Now when I checked this level up at Nantwich at the hotel, it was full. Well, I say it was full, it was a tiny bit under. Wow. Okay, so it's down to the minimum. So it's used a fair bit. So some people are going to be asking, hang on, if it's got white smoke coming out the back, why are you looking at the oil? Wouldn't that be blue? Well, no, not necessarily. It'll be blue if you had a teeny tiny bit of oil mixing with petrol and things, and then it burns, and you know, you get carbon, and with burnt oil residue, that can give a blue tint. But when you've got that much being burnt, do you ever see a car that's rolled over, like a banger racer or something that's rolled over? They'll try and kill the engine, turn it off when it's upside down, because of course all the oil that's in the sump will be out of the sump, and the oil pump will be picking up nothing, and that can wreck the engine. So you try to switch the engine off as quick as you can, and then when it does get flipped back over, they fire it up. All that white crud comes at the back. That's oil, because it's ended up in all the breather and the air intake and everything like that. No one cares, because the car's going to get smashed up. But when you put that much oil through it, yeah, it will just burn white. And basically, it's like, if it comes out blue, the engine is burning it. If it comes out white, it's struggling to burn it. And that's what happened. But what I can't figure out is why it cut out. My theory at the time on the Saturday, when we were up at Alton Park, was that it was hydro locking. Like, there was so much oil in the bore, it was jamming it, which was quite scary. But then it is a TU. They are tough. It would probably be able to deal with it a little bit. That's odd. I think really what's going to have to happen is I'm going to have to whip this rocker cover off quickly and have a look under here and see if there's some kind of baffle or filter or something like that, which is supposed to sort of limit the amount this can pull. Because it's either that this is pulling too much through. I mean, if there was a PCV valve, it would kind of regulate, if you like, how much vacuum versus how much positive air pressure. That is kind of like what is happening here. These symptoms are that of a sort of failed PCV valve, but I don't think it has a PCV valve. So yeah, I'll maybe pull this rocker cover off and just have a look and see if there's something in here to give us a clue. But that is kind of odd at the moment. I mean, the easy way to get around it, as things sit, is just to put a catch tank on it. Put a catch tank on it, that will route off to a little reservoir. There'll be a pipe, like a chamber. Go to that, there'll be another hose coming back off that, going back to the spigot on the air intake, and then a little filter on the top of the catch tank to sort of neutralise the pressure in there so it doesn't build a vacuum up. And basically the vapour goes in the top, heavier parts of the vapour, i.e. the oil, the droplets, drop to the bottom and stay there, and then the gas that remains gets sucked back out and carries on. It basically like a separator. It's separating the oil from the fumes, if you like. I don't want to just put a filter on here. A, because it's a road car, it'll end up smelling. It's good to suck it back in here and get rid of it. It's also good to have the engine under vacuum, the crankcase under vacuum, because you're less likely to blow gaskets and seals and things, much less likely to have an oil leak. That's why they have PCV valves, to maintain the vacuum. But yeah, shouldn't have to have it, really, a catch tank. If it has to have one, it has to have one, but it never needed one before. That's the worrying thing. And I was worried when the thing I went into this video thinking is, was I going to notice high pressure here but not here and wonder if this was blocked, or find that there is actually high pressure here and here and there's loads of high pressure in there, and there's an issue with the pistons. But right now It seems like it's, well, coin of phrase, it's sucking too hard. Let's pull that off quickly. People with the Saxo VTS will be watching this going, oh my god, don't take the rocker cover. You've got the alloy rocker cover. Don't take that off. Jesus, you'll never get it to seal again. No, not so. It's got PTFE gaskets, aftermarket one. Really good. Tell you what, if you've got one of these engines with the early rocker covers, TU5J4, these gaskets are amazing. I've just undone the bolts along the front there and the oil started to leak out already. It was bone dry before that. Because these rocker covers came brand new with sealant on. They'd had no gaskets from new. So every time you remove these rocker covers, you have to reseal them, which is just a pain in the arse. If I can find the link from where they came from, I'll share it, but I'm not convinced I will, because I bought them a long time ago. But they make them for, this isn't a paid thing by the way, I've bought these ages ago. They make them for all sorts. They make them for the V6 as well, for the alloy rocker covers on the V6 engines. It's the same stupid sort of design. These are spring washers with like bolts from the stash over there. There you go, look, it's not even glued in, just loose. And this is where I find I can't take it off with the coil pack in place. Oh no. There we go. So the other possibility is that there's some kind of filter somewhere which is blocked. Come on, you. So it could be that there is a PCV valve of some sort in behind this plate. It could be that there's something going on in there. Oh, it's all mayo-y in there. And before anyone goes, oh, head gasket, it's running waterless coolant. So it wouldn't do that. I think I'll have to take that off, aren't I? So yeah, it's all very oily. The engine is very oily. What a surprise. I need to just go and double check there's no filters in the head. Could be there's like a balancer filter or a breather filter or something, and if it blocks it causes excess pressure and then there's more oil gets sucked up. And of course this is a TU engine. It's just got a 16 valve head on it, which is bespoke to this engine, and then later versions of it came out, the ones with the plastic rocker covers. Right, let's pull that baffle plate off quick and have a look. There's my PTFE rocker cover gasket, which I'm going to be very careful about dislodging because I don't want to ruin it. Wasn't stuck down or anything. There we go. I can't remember what's under this plate, or indeed if I've had this plate off before. I think I have. But yeah, as things stand, this truly is a mystery problem, because it could, you know, it ran up to Rustival the week before or 2 weeks before. I've forgotten now. Lost track what day it is. So it went up to Rustival, it's fine. Of course, it might have been, this problem may have been brewing over time and it just manifested on this longer journey, but right now, I'm kind of struggling a little bit to find a bit of rag. Let's see what's in here. Nothing particularly out of the ordinary. Little spacers. I wonder if I've ever taken this off before. I don't know if I have actually. And for everyone worrying that they're getting scratched doing this, they're getting repainted soon anyway, so my good lady wife wanted to change the colour of them. They only got painted red because I was trying out the crinkle paint as an experiment, and they were absolutely battered, standard. Second layer. What we're going to find in here? Hopefully some sort of blocked filter or broken filter. No, nothing at all, just baffles. I'm baffled. Oh dear. That can be another time. Yeah, so the intake is just sucking the vapours through here and here. No filters in there. This is just like a baffle, basically, to try and separate the oil and stop it going. Well, stop it doing what it's doing, basically. Nuts. Right, so basically what we have is a puzzle. Why is it suddenly doing that? Hasn't done that for how many years has this engine been in now? 15. 15 years. And with that induction kit thing on the front of it, maybe 12 of those 15 years. And it's never done that. And now all of a sudden, it does that. Well, I haven't got any more time to investigate tonight, but yeah, that's... What the hell? How can it be fine 1 minute and then doing that the next? When it's got no valve in it or anything like that. I'm pretty sure there's no PCV valve in there. Might just have to put a catch tank on it, I think, and empty that out occasionally. Anyway, that's it. Yeah, no resolution on this one. Sometimes there isn't. No harm in that. You're investigating and you're learning, discovering things. In this case, I'm refreshing my mind as to what all the hell goes on under there, because I don't work on this engine very often, because it's actually quite reliable. And I didn't really remember much about it, considering I put all that together. How long ago would that be? 5 years ago. It's literally 5 years ago this month. No, next month that I last went in here and played around with this. So, yeah, I'd completely forgotten how it all goes together. But don't forget, you can still donate to the 24-hour driving streaming challenge. It took place. It's done. We haven't got a winner yet. I'm going to work on that tonight when I get home. I'm going to do some counting. But the challenge happened, and the teams did amazingly well. The event here was a catastrophe. Well, it wasn't a catastrophe, but it was hard work. Yeah, a crazy time. So check that out. Donate, help, share, like, whatever. Any way you can. Sophie's legacy is amazing. You hope to hell you never need it. You hope so much you never need Sophie's legacy. It's a charity that shouldn't exist, but we're lucky that it does. So yeah, that's it. I'm off. Yeah, I thought I could smell something. Ooh.